one of my fellow podcasters who is yet to get 1,000 downloads per episode? I'm Janet Fish. I'm the host of the Breakthrough Your Profit to Ceiling podcast, and I was right there with you until I met Adam and I joined the Download Growth Club. Now my downloads are skyrocketing way up, and I'm making lots of money with my podcast, which is exactly what I want to do.
What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School. It's the show where I teach podcasters simple strategies to help you make more money, get more clients, and build a profitable and simple online business. Today, we're doing a live coaching episode talking about podcast guesting as a growth strategy. Diving in with Steve and Teresa here in a moment. But first, I've got breaking news. Big announcement. My next 21-day boot camp is happening in October 6th through the 26th. It is a 21-day podcast growth boot camp. And I'm very excited about this. If you are somebody that is tired of hearing crickets and you want to get traction and see growth and see that ROI on all the effort that you're putting in, I know how you feel. I was that guy 2015, 2016, 2017, a little bit in 2018, really low download numbers. And then I started to figure it out. So I'm going to be unpacking what I'm now calling my double your downloads growth system. You're going to learn that. We've got weekly coaching, weekly collaboration sessions. With today's episode, you're going to learn the importance of collaboration and not just guesting, but other collaboration techniques to borrow other people's audiences. I'm going to be facilitating those connections weekly with our collaboration sessions. So this is going to be a great boot camp. Would love to have you in there. I've created a scorecard to kind of gamify the system. And the goal is to help you optimize for two growth windows. One we are in right now. All right. The pre-holiday season, usually September through mid-November, is a great time to grow your podcast. And I want to help you double your downloads during this window. All right. That's goal number one. So if you're doing 100 downloads per episode right now, by the end of this growth window, I want you doing 200 downloads per episode. All right. Before December hits. Then the next window we want to optimize for and kind of parlay that momentum into is the January through May growth window. I want your show to explode in January. All right. This is growth season. All right. That's something that podcasters should always be looking forward to. January through May is podcast growth season. I'm going to make sure you're optimized for that. So again, with this boot camp, lots of hands-on coaching with me. Going to tag in some certified podcast growth coaches to help out a little bit. You're going to get the system, and then all you need to do is implement. And when you hear my testimonials that I play on the air and in my newsletter about doubling your downloads in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, tripling downloads in 6, whatever. If that result gets you fired up and you're like, how do I do that? Then this boot camp is for you. All right. I think you're really going to enjoy it. All the information is in the link in the episode notes. Get it and get signed up, get your spot. I will take care of the rest. All right. So with this episode today, like I said, we are diving into a tried and true podcast growth strategy, podcast guesting. All right. And how I suggest you should go about that, how to get booked on shows, and how to do it the right way. And I've been a guest on hundreds of shows, and I've never asked to be a guest on a show. So I'm going to teach you this strategy, and we unpack that with Steve and Teresa. They're two of my online business academy for podcasters members. And let's dive on into this session. All right, we are back for another online business academy hot seat session. I've got Steve and Teresa Hewlett from the Online Business Academy for Podcasters. They're here as Academy members to sit in the hot seat for 30 minutes to get some one-on-one time with me. And I love doing these. Steve, Teresa, welcome to the hot seat.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
It's not too hot.
Oh, it's going to be sizzling. It's going to be sizzling. All right. So what's our number one focus point right now? What do you want to kind of dive deep with here today?
Right now, where I am, and I know Teresa does more of the marketing type stuff, and we're just learning the marketing stuff. But where I need to just focus. I've got the book that I wrote. We have the podcast. We have the newsletter. We have 3 different digital courses, all the same course, different stages of it. But now I don't know where I should put all my energy into the next thing. We are not making any money off anything yet. We haven't sold anything yet. We just started with all this, so we don't have a huge following. So help us.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So we're doing the newsletter training that you have just
Yes.
put out. So we just started that.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got the
So
newsletter.
I like you're checking all the boxes of what I want in place. I think a lot of podcasters come to me. It's kind of like a chicken or the egg thing. Like, should we focus on growth or offers or whatever? I kind of prefer, like, you guys are very, very coachable. We've been working together for a while here in different ways, and you're newer to the academy, but like we've been, doing some other stuff. And you guys are very coachable, and you're kind of like, Adam, tell us what to do next. Okay, we'll do that. And you're checking the boxes. So I like the fact that you have a newsletter. We're building an email list. Your newsletter cadence is great. The content is high value. The podcast is high value. We're over 100 episodes there, and you've got offers. You got things that people can buy. So for me, we are in official audience growth mode because I like growing when all this stuff, at least at a base amount, is in place, at least a little bit of it. So now, as your audience grows, they can get on your email list. They can have that weekly value add newsletter. They can binge listen to your podcast. They have 3 different ways that they can work with you. So now it's audience growth. It's continue to show off expert positioning and continue to just tease what it's like to work with you, to be a client, to be basically, I want you to be known as just a problem solver in your niche, and we really want to just keep hammering that type of content out there. Now, you're in the health space. I used to be in the health space. I'm retired from the health space. I'm still healthy myself. I just, I'm 45 years old. I just made, you'll be proud of me. I just made protein pudding, and I had a little bit of Metamucil in there because I'm 45 years old.
There you go. Hey, I think that's perfect.
Got to get that fiber. Got to get a little bit of fiber in there.
Oh yeah, gotta have fiber.
So I'm still healthy, but I'm not a health content creator anymore. But I can tell you this: one of the things that I want, that you're ready for, that I want you to keep top of mind as you create content, as you create promotions, and as you kind of tweak the way you promote your offers, is health. The health niche fits within a yearly calendar. Like with business stuff, it's not like, oh, it's July. What are all the entrepreneurs doing in July?
Mm-hmm.
But with the health space, there's a little bit of a seasonal calendar. January, goals, New Year's resolution, into like spring break season. Let's have our body confidence. Let's be getting ready to take clothes off and go outside in bathing suits. Let's get ready for that. Right. Summer travel. How do we eat and travel at the same time? Heading in to the holiday season. How do we survive the holiday season? How do I maintain, not gain through the holiday? So that I've had a lot of success in the past with creating content that kind of fits what where people's health interests are at right in the current cycle, but also creating little either free workshops or offers or tweaking my offer to fit a certain type of time frame. So like right now we're getting ready for back to school stuff. Schedule change is going to happen. If I'm thinking as a health coach with my health coach brain, I'm going schedule change equals stress equals we're losing routine. So I'd probably putting out some content going, all right, kids are going back to school. How do we adjust to this? Like, how do we think about this strategically? And how do we reestablish a new routine? And how far in advance are we planning ahead to make sure that transition happens nice and smooth? And then, maybe with your offers, you'd say, hey, and this is a problem we love to solve inside of our blah, blah, blah program. If you need a little bit more handholding, we have options where you can work directly with me, or there's kind of the do-it-yourself. But that's a great resource for you. Or maybe you have a free resource. That would be a great thing. Or maybe it's your book or whatever. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of you guys creating seasonally interesting and applicable content that your ideal podcast listeners are like, ooh, this is something that's happening right now. I can't put this off. I need to listen to it right now. But then we kind of bake into, and if you really want some help with this, here's the next logical step. Hop on a discovery call. That way you and I can talk about how, this is something that I help people with, and just making it known that I solve this problem. Mm-hmm. So whenever you create a piece of content, whether it's social media, podcast, newsletter, I want you to scan it and go, okay, did I show off that I can solve a problem related to this? And if not, we need to add some of that in there. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you talking about me doing a podcast episode on a hot topic and then just mentioning this like sometime throughout the podcast? Or are you talking about this is going on ads somewhere, like
No, I
Amazon
mean,
ads or Facebook ads, right?
no, I mean just straight up content. So
Like on
yeah,
Threads, I'm on Threads
podcast
now.
content, threads content, newsletter content. When you're, I want you to use a formula that's kind of like, okay, here's the issue. Second step is here's what most people try to do, and this is where that's steering them wrong. Like this is the general. This is why the general thinking takes you in the wrong direction. Here's what I actually want you to do, and here's a typical result or whatever. You can use your own experience or somebody that you know that you worked with, and then the next step would be, and if you need some help solving this, or if you need some support around this, here's the next step to do that. So it's always like identify the problem. Here's what everybody else tries to do normally. Here's why I don't want you to do that. Here's what I want you to do instead. And if you need some extra help implementing that, what I think you should do instead, here's your next step. And that's just your podcast, your newsletter. Not so much on social media, but maybe if you do like a longer form thing on social media, but definitely the podcast and the newsletter.
Hmm.
If you stick to that formula primarily, I just want to, like I said, next goal as we grow the audience is show off Dr. Steve, the problem solver, is just like, I mean, just make it just rep after rep after rep after rep. It's just like doing the boring work. It's like
Right.
when you tell people to get a certain amount of steps in every day and it's super boring, but you just got to get up and get moving, or don't sit down for hours a day, get your standing desk. Super boring, but the little stuff works. So that's
Right.
one thing that I want you to do is just, did I show off my ability to solve problems? Did I use that loose format that I just talked about? With especially with your newsletter, especially with your show. Is that making sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So if I'm sitting here trying to figure out what we do, go through and figure that out, then we're going to be putting those on the ads, what she'll be putting out there. I come up with a podcast about it also and talk about it there. And then use one of your tracking tools to track it. I mean, it seems very, so my only focus right now is just really me come up with a podcast, figure out what we want to say, and then have her figure out the ads for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's
she's going to
kinda
be
basically
doing,
really-
yeah, she's going to be doing some Facebook ads and things like that to up the newsletter, which is,
Mhm.
that's all going to feed into the audience growth.
Right.
So from a content creation perspective, main focus point is show off how good of a problem solver you are, and make sure
Okay.
you just leave breadcrumbs towards discovery calls or offers and or both.
Right.
So
Okay.
but then we want to start hitting some of the buttons for growth, like, pulling those growth levers a little bit. So we've got your show SEO and organic discovery dialed in, because I did that with you, and I'm very
Mhm.
confident with that. And we're using good keywords with our episode titles, all that stuff. Um, I really want to start getting aggressive with you guesting on other people's podcasts,
Mhm.
because you are so good on the spot, on the fly. Throw a topic at Dr. Steve. He freaking goes crazy. Like, it's good. It's good stuff. I've
Too
sat down.
crazy guy here.
I've sitting down. I've shared food with you all, and then just had discussions. And like, you can just, it's like me on podcasting. Like, you're the same way in the health space. It's like, okay, you got strong opinions. You're very passionate about the way that you think about health, and you're passionate about helping people, and that comes through. So I want to show that off on other people's shows. So I think, looking goal wise, perfect world for me, like aggressive, is I want you on 2 to 4 shows a month. So that, minimum one a month, minimum. So it's like definitely between that 1 and 4 per month. That's something, that's a KPI, key performance indicator, that I want you guys tracking is, okay, it's July, or okay, it's August. How many shows have I been a guest on this month?
Right.
Okay. So that's just getting there. So how does that happen?
Right.
Obviously, inviting people on your show for strategic interviews. We don't, so with me, it's a little bit less than a third. It's more like 25% of the time I invite 1 out of 4 episodes. I invite somebody on that I usually want to collaborate with or have collaborated with. And I'm looking for opportunities to guest on their show and things like that. So whenever you invite somebody on your show, I would not invite anybody that does not have a podcast that you could potentially be on.
Mhm.
Right.
So we need to start kind of networking around with those types of shows, and look at other audience or other podcasters that serve your ideal audience members. So, people in the low carb space, or people at a certain age group, or people with certain fitness interest levels or whatever. And then we start mingling in that crowd and inviting people in, and then hopefully getting that invite back. So that's one method that I really like.
Is
Within
there a
the
way?
Go
Do
ahead.
you have something that is there? How would I do? How would is there a certain way that we could go and find out? Okay, who is in this health space that we can actually find out and see what kind of podcast they have, and is
Yeah,
it just put in the search?
I would go on Apple and on Spotify and search the health. I mean, I would go into the subcategories of nutrition and health, fitness, and nutrition will probably be more of a home run for finding easy fits for you since you've got
Hmm.
that's your niche as
Mm-hmm.
well. But I wouldn't sleep on the fitness because maybe you can kind of sometimes higher ranked podcasters, they are more receptive to inviting somebody on that they don't see as competition, even though
Hmm.
with like content creation, it's all collaboration anyway. But some people don't see it
Right.
that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're more of a strength training based show and you come in and you're like, oh, well, I can add the fitness or the nutrition component to your fitness component.
Hmm.
So we'll look at both of those, but I would go into the top 200 rankings on Apple and Spotify and just start at the lower edge, like 150 to 200. Those are easier shows to get a hold of.
Right.
And let's start perusing those and going, ooh, listen to some of their content and go, okay, I really like this person's vibe. I could see them being a good guest on our show. I think I could be a really good guest on their show as well. Let's make the invite. In the invite, make it really clear that you are asking them to be on your show. Do not even mention,
Being on theirs.
yeah,
Right.
don't even mention a swap or anything. Like just
Right.
you got to play it cool, you know. It's back like when you guys were first dating and Steve was just playing it cool, you know. I'm sure.
I still play it cool.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So so play it cool and just sit back, create the content. And I crushed it with this technique in the health space. Like I just worked my way through the Apple Podcast top 200, and I was a guest on 50 of the top 200 shows. And that's when my brand, my show went from less than 1,000 downloads a month to 25,000 downloads a month. And I was just cranking my way through that because health
Mm-hmm.
podcasts especially are great with like networking and referrals. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe all podcast niche are like that, but like I really noticed that with health where I was like, oh, somebody came on my show, I was on their show, and I said, oh, I saw that you had so and so on your show, and they're like somebody maybe top 100 or like harder to get to. And I
Mhm.
would just ask them for a warm introduction. I saw that they were on your show. Would you mind making a warm introduction to whoever handles their booking? I'd love to reach out and have them on the show. Oh, sure. And my chances of getting them on the show and them asking me to be on their show is so much greater when one of their friends that has already had them on introduces me,
Right.
said, hey,
Right.
me and Adam just did a podcast swap and he wants you to come on his show, blah blah blah. So now that's opening that door. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now
Right.
I'm kind of skipping ahead.
Right.
So I think that's gonna be a great strategy. And honestly, since you guys are in the academy, you guys have access to the Friday office hours. What I would
Mhm.
recommend doing is let's show up this Friday or next Friday and let's pull up some of these lists and just work through this for 10 or 15 minutes, just me and you guys, and just I'll show you like which shows I would target,
Mhm.
Okay.
who I'd send invites out to, the whole thing. That
Sure.
way we can get hands on and just kind of hand pick a few. So that's a strategy. And I keep a spreadsheet of who I
Mhm.
invited, what they were ranked at the time, um, and the date. Did I get a
Mhm.
response or not? Because I don't
Yep.
want to keep hammering the same people.
Right.
Right.
But you throw a few lines in the water each week, you get a few yeses. Now I don't want you to have like 30 interviews booked in advance because that's
Right.
not going to be a good thing either. But I would throw maybe 3 to 5 invites out there per week because you're going to get maybe 1 or 2 conversations going. And if you start getting a few booked, then we pause it and go, okay, let's work these connections a little bit. Now,
Mhm.
let's say you pop a big dog, like a top 100, top 50 ranked podcast. They come on your show. I want you to try to get that episode out as quick as you possibly can. So if we got to move stuff around
Mm-hmm.
to get that
Mhm.
done, we do it
Mm-hmm.
because
Right.
we want to maintain the, hey, remember me? This is my
Right.
face and we're friends. And,
Right.
like that
Right.
thing. Now, another strategy, because I know you guys attend a lot of events, is I used to try, like right before KetoCon, I would hit up all the big speakers and invite them on my show and try to get them on before the event, get some FaceTime, and then I chase them down again at the event and go,
Right.
hey, it's me, my face. You
Yeah.
remember my
Yeah.
face?
Yeah.
And kind of make those connections. And that really helped me get booked on shows as well. So
Okay.
we can be strategic with some of this stuff. Now, another thing I'm going to start doing with Academy members is I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to call it, but it's going to be like podcaster speed dating for interview swaps.
Mhm.
But I'm going to have it broken up into niche topics. So I'm going to kind of have the shows about making money or saving money, and then we have like more personal growth, health, wellness. That's what you guys fit in.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not just inviting Academy members, but I'm going to get you guys plugged into a pool of all the shows that I've got in my Rolodex and kind of get a big group in there and just start doing referral swaps and
Mhm.
stuff like
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
specific just for health, just for
Yeah.
your niche.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've done that in the past, but it's all types of people, and it didn't work as well because it doesn't, it's just not as efficient. If you have 40 people in the room and they're all over the place, but if we can get 40 people that are in the health niche, you're gonna come
Mhm.
out of there with some good
Mhm.
collaboration partners. So that's another thing that is coming down the pipeline for you guys. So I really feel like that's the most strategic way to
Mhm.
grow your show because I have done that. Like that
Okay.
is how I blew things up. So we got the newsletter cranking in the background. You've got the social media cranking in the background. You've got offers. You got great content. All of that is there. We hit the growth lever and put really good effort into this, and you're going to start seeing growth plus dollar signs, which is a great place to be.
Mhm.
Um,
So if once we get our people that we look on the podcast, how do you contact them? What does that give their email addresses along with the stuff when you're looking through the podcast, or
usually,
that's
yeah,
more research?
Like
usually
your
there's an
contact.
email on there, and if not, you can usually look them up on their website. And if not, then you go on social, and we hit them up there.
Mhm.
Okay.
But the thing we really lead with is I want you on my show. Like we
Right.
want to be super clear because I get a million
Right.
freaking emails a day about people pitching me to
Want
be
to
on
be
my
yeah.
show. And
Yeah.
I send them straight to spam, and I really enjoy it. Like my spam finger is strong right now. I slide them up in there, and I do my evil laugh, and I hit the little button. I hit the little button. It's like, would you like to do this with all the emails from this account? Yes, I would.
Yes.
Bam. That is their punishment. Calling me Amanda, dear Amanda. We'd love to
or,
be on your show.
or being a first name here.
Yeah. Hello, podcaster. Name
Yeah.
here. Yeah, the old template. So now, okay. So let's talk for a minute about being strategic once you are a guest, because we want to. And again,
Mhm.
once you start getting that cadence of getting booked on other people's shows, you got access to me, and we can kind of game plan this a little bit. But I want to make sure that like let's say you're going to be on like Robert Sykes podcast. He's got a giant audience, blah, 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 blah. And we want to go, okay, we're going to be on this show. What topics are we potentially going to talk about? And you want to think about maybe 3 to 5. And I want you to create something like a Google sheet or
Mhm.
something on your
Sure.
computer that you can like reference that you can see. I want 3 to 5 of your episodes that you think will correlate with topics that you might discuss when you're a guest on this upcoming show. Because I want you to be, I call it my quick reference sheet, because I
Mhm.
want to name drop at least one, hopefully 3 podcast episodes. And I
Right.
will not have any shame in doing that. So you talk about a certain thing for a little bit. Maybe you're talking about meal timing or intermittent fasting or something like that.
Mhm.
And then the interviewer starts to pivot, and you're like, hey, before we go on to that question, just in case anybody wants to dive deeper on what we just talked about, I've got a great episode on this. It's episode 71. I'm sure Robert will link it in the show notes, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
That's a great one to start with. And then you go on to the next thing.
Mhm.
Like I try to do that. I don't want to make it weird, but at least once.
Right.
And then even if that opportunity doesn't pop up at the very end, when they're like, hey, shout out your whatever, never just say, hey, go check out my podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, or don't just say that. You can say that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You might say, hey, check out my show wherever you listen to podcasts. But if you really want a great foothold to start with, I highly recommend starting with episode blah, 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 because whatever, it's related to what we talked about today. It's a deeper dive than what we talked about today.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, giving somebody a specific episode
Mhm.
gets so much higher of a conversion over into your show than just where shall I start? And then you
Right.
got, well over 100 episodes now,
Mhm.
and people are in there swimming. Like where, I mean, maybe I
Right.
start, maybe they're excited about that most recent episode, maybe they're not, and maybe they bounce. So they've already listened to the whole episode that you're on. You know what you've talked about, and you give them one of those hot button reference points. If you liked what we talked about today, I really recommend you start with this episode specifically because I think that's a continuation of what we talked about today. It'll knock over the next domino, and it'll get them hopping right over there. And then FOMO kicks in. Oh,
Right.
I love what we talked about today. Next step is on this episode 71. So let's go get it. And like I tried to casually mention, I put out an podcast episode every Tuesday, a new topic on my newsletter every Thursday. It's independently valuable. Like I just talk about how I like to teach and interact with people, all free stuff. And
Right.
be like, hey, you can go to my website and get access to all that stuff, and then start with this episode. So those are kind of my dream wish list of when I'm a guest on someone else's show. But it basically rolls out like, hey, you guys can hang out with me. Go over to my website, podcastingbusiness.school. If you liked our conversation today, make sure you do a couple of things. Start with episode number 482 because we talk about blah, 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 and make sure that you go on my website, podcastingbusiness.school, and get on my newsletter because it's an independently valuable topic every Thursday compared to what I put out on my show every single Tuesday. Can't wait to hang out. Boom, done.
Yep.
That's my little ad. And I just kind of ad-lib that depending on what we talked about.
Right.
So that way, now, if all this comes together, we are guesting on someone else's show 1 to 4 times per month. And that will build up as you start to fill your funnel with strategic invites and as you start to attend networking events and really kind of having that as what gets measured gets improved, right?
Right.
So now we're tracking this and it's
Right.
like, it's like working out. It's like your bench press. Or it's like decreasing your mile time. We start tracking stuff that what's tracked gets improved. So now that's happening. We're moving up our charts as far as like, okay, last month we were interviewing podcasters that were in the 180s rankings. Now we're moving down to the 150s or the top 100. You start getting those top 50. That's like, okay, we're getting to some big audiences here. And stuff really starts to pop and it gets exciting. And when we are a guest on their show, now we have a strategy for maximizing that opportunity, adding a ton of value, showing off your expert positioning, referencing back to an episode. Now, I would never reference back to an episode that is an interview unless it's just like a killer interview. That's like that 100% makes sense. I want you showing off with a coaching episode, a solo episode. That's going to be more important.
Not even an interview with someone who's actually gone through the course and lost a lot of weight and got off all the medications and all that.
That would be I would consider that like a case study or a coaching episode, but I wouldn't just do like an interview where you're talking to somebody about the topic. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like that's kind of the next clear steps where you guys are at. And again, compliments to you for laying the foundation of all your business stuff and being patient. And, your email list has grown, your social media has grown, your podcast following has grown. And now we kind of want to add some rocket fuel to all those things and level them up. And newsletter is going to feed into the podcast is going to feed into the newsletter, and they both feed into social media. And now it's like, okay, we got our 1,000 true fans and our across the board. And then that's going to the trip from the 1,000 true fans to 5,000. It happens pretty quick. That's the cool thing. We got all those mouths out there chirping about, I had a couple of emails today that people were like, yeah, I bought this thing and I told 2 of my friends that they needed to buy it too. I was like, thank you. That's great.
That's right.
That's awesome. But that's 10 years down that road. It'll be a quicker trip for you guys. Okay. So I feel I don't want to give you too much to work on, but I think, like I said, you guys have access to the Friday office hours. Let's plan on booking a date to pop in and let's go through the Apple charts a little bit and the Spotify charts and handpick a few shows that we want to network with. I think that's a good next step. Make sense?
Okay. Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. I think
Awesome.
It's wonderful.
Yep. You guys are hard workers. I like taking good care of you. Now, I want you to shout out your website, your show, your newsletter, your brand. Maybe recommend a podcast episode to start with. I don't know. I don't know if you can think of one off the top of your head here. I don't know. But either way, go ahead and shout yourself out there.
Right. My name's Steve, Teresa Hewlett. We have a book called Your Plate is Your Fate. I have been a doctor of pharmacy for 35 years, and now I'm trying to get people off of medications, and I've realized they can do that with nutrition. So we started a podcast, Simple Healthy Choices for Weight Loss, and we have a website called drstevehewlett.com.
And Hewlett is Hughlet.
Right.
Well
And
done.
Dr. DR.
Yeah.
DR. Shout out to all the pharmacists out there. My dad is a retired pharmacist. So
Awesome.
I grew up on those days, and he's like, I'll be home at 3 a.m. I'm doing inventory tonight. You know, you had to count all the pills in the whole place. That's old school pharmacy when you had to count
That's
all the freaking
old
pills. Now, before I let you guys go, we've done a lot of work together. Like I said, you're a little bit newer to the academy, but what are you liking about the academy so far? Like what aspects of it are kind of your most favorite things?
Well, I actually like that you remind us of what we're doing, because we get sidetracked, like get too focused in one area, and then like I'm totally thinking about the ads, and I kind of forget that, there's this podcast, and you're like, be on other people's podcasts. It's like, I totally forgot we could be on other people's podcasts.
Yeah, I never really thought about it.
But you do that all the time. Anytime we connect with you or get on, a call or something, you always remind us of, it's just simple things that we can do to stay focused on our goal, because we get sidetracked.
And really, and we love you to death. You have absolutely changed our lives. Seriously. Learn how to do the podcast and learn how to build the podcast and make a business out of it. The biggest decision I've made right now is there's gonna be two I don't hate to say this, but I personally don't listen to podcasts. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm worried about building ours and all that kind of stuff. And I'm still working. But I've made a different decision today. The two podcasts I'm going to listen to every single week, yours and the one for the newsletter, the Chanel that you just did. If I just listen to those two podcasts every week and just keep in this, and you're always so awesome to work with. I mean, you really are. And I just really want to thank you so much for all you've done. I know we've been together for a couple of years now, but still, you've changed our lives.
I appreciate you guys saying that. And that's my goal. Anytime I work with somebody, when we hang out, I want to make things a little bit simpler. And
yeah,
I'm kind of like the bumpers when you go bowling and they put the bumpers up in the gutter. I'm like the human bumpers. I just keep knocking the ball down the right direction.
I'm the one in the gutter trying to crawl over the other way.
Steve is the one that shot puts the bowling ball halfway down the lane.
And I do love your spreadsheets, your Google Sheets. I am all over on those. And as you were talking down about, come up with a sheet to be able to say whose podcast have you been on and what things you're going to bring to that podcast. And it's like, I'm looking all over your sheets. I've got it. I already know exactly where I'm going to put all that stuff. And
good.
And that helps a lot.
Good. And use that KPI of guesting. There's a little on your dashboard. You have the KPI tracker, and I'll just add that. And how many shows am I on per month? So,
yep.
All right. Well, I'm proud of you guys. You put in a lot of effort. You guys are really, really hard workers. You implement well, and you just kind of stick with it. It's the same deal as my journey. It took me 3 years to figure out how to do all this, and then another 2 years to go full time. And you guys are on a faster track than that. So
hope so. I'm retired. I just want to get up there before I die.
You're helping a lot of people. So that's a great place to start. All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining me on the hot seat here. And I'll see you at office hours coming soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, Pod Pals. There you have it. Thanks to Steve and Teresa for coming in and sitting on the hot seat. And hopefully you're inspired, because podcast guesting is legit, but it is only one of the growth levers that we can pull. If you're ready to learn my complete double your download system, get to that link in the show notes and get signed up for my 21-day podcast growth boot camp. You're going to get hands-on coaching with me, and I'm going to walk you through my complete double your downloads system. We are in a growth window right now. We're going to optimize and grow now. And then we want to parlay all of that momentum into January and hit the big time growth curve. If that sounds good to you, if you're tired of hearing crickets and want to get your ideal listeners in front of your show, you get signed up. All of the information is in the show notes. We start on October 6th, and I would love to see you there. And with that, Pod Pals, I'm going to send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. I'll see you on the next episode.